I
What are
don't
you
know
doing?
the microwave. I'm getting some coffee for the Ketone Kafe.
So, we've got Cindy in the house. Wonderful. We've got Rachel Tax in the house. We've got Michael Morris in the house. Wonderful. And we've got Norman in the house. Avril is in the house. Wonderful. Norman's here. Wow. Oh, fantastic. Really, really crazy for me. I'm basically off the plane. Hold on. Irene's coming in. So that's wonderful. Ingrid's coming in. Oh wow, this is wild to be back in Ketone Cafe HQ.
Hey everyone, how is everyone doing? I'm just sending the invite to the last minute people, seeing if they can hop on. Oh, who's this? Everything is awesome over here. Welcome everyone to Ketone Cafe number 18. I'm just checking to see who's on. And just wanted to say, wow, just like Dov had said, I can't believe it's been 18 Ketone Cafes. We're now of legal keto drinking age, so that's also awesome. And just, really excited. I've been having some pretty powerful conversations over the last week and through many people here. Just to name a few, Tracy and Sheila, to showcase just a couple of the many conversations that we are having together with people, and just the power of the necessity of this conversation right now is truly outstanding.
So we're at key of the door here. This is number 18. Ketone Cafe 18. Wow, it's getting to legal age 18.
Yay.
So I can tell you right now, when I had my first drink of ketones, and I'm never without them, and I was with them in the desert. I was drinking ketones under the Milky Way, watching meteors and shooting stars, and everyone I spoke to, they're like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Well, this is ketones. What do you know about ketosis?" And I can't believe that I'm going around saying that now. And they're like, "Well, what's that?" And so I was, in one of the biggest natural craters in the world, and camping out there under the stars, drinking ketones with my friend who got his ketones as well, and it was the most incredible experience.
As you can tell, many of you have already shared this conversation with more than one person. We know the ripple effect of sharing the conversation, but do you ever consider the ripple effect of not?
Yeah, I like that excuse-itis, because we can do that too to ourselves about, oh, I don't want to share it with Norman. Norman probably doesn't want it, and I kind of worry about what Norman thinks about what I'm doing and stuff like that. Well, here's the thing, guys. When I was going through my own personal hell, not one of these people called me. Not one of these people said, "How you doing?" A lot of them didn't know. A lot of them knew what I was going through. Why would I care what people think when I know what I've got my hands on? I know the 99.9% of the people that are looking for better. Why do I have excuse-itis to give myself an out? One thing that ketones work really well on is excuse-itis, because your mind and body is going to be working as one, and you're not going to have time for the old stories that kept you where you were, because what got you here isn't going to get you there.
I had the pleasure of meeting with Dov last week while he was in Israel, and I just have to tell you, you've heard my story and how I feel about ketones. But the man I met last week, the young man that I met last week, was a very different one to the one I met a year ago when we first met.
Consider the ripple effect of not sharing. That really hit me hard, and it made me realize the importance of, I don't know the mom, we'll call it 7 levels from me, from a conversation that I may not have. So I really want that to like settle in your cells right now. Because I shared the conversation with someone named Tanya in Vancouver. Tanya shared this conversation with someone named Roy in BC. Roy had this conversation with Sheila, who walked into his shop for some other healing modalities, and he brought up the ketone conversation. Sheila then had her life change with her personal story, which will be different for everyone. And through Sheila's dedication, drive, conviction, I mean, you all know Sheila, and her, her drive to share better because of her story has created a ripple effect that's went over the pond, to create a community through Dove that goes right back to my backyard in Toronto, that goes down to San Diego, that comes back up to Toronto, that goes over to Israel, conversations in New Zealand, conversations in Australia. Thinking about that, I really want this theme today to really kind of hit hard. I wanted to go so deep into your cells that you understand the value of the person that far away from you who can not be impacted. So I really wanted to share that today in terms of a message that I have, not trying to be heavy, but I really believe that sometimes we have to realize what could not take place if we allow the fear of, oh my goodness, is that person going to say yes or no? Who cares?
He walked in, he's half the size, he's twice the energy, looks incredible. Dov was just a totally different person. I mean, obviously not inside. He's still as gorgeous inside as he was before. But physically, it was a different man that walked into my apartment than I met a year ago. I just needed to tell you, because I knew Dov from before. Some of the others of you did. And I could not believe the difference of this guy that walked in with his little skinny legs and a little skinny body and amazing looking skin and sparkly eyes, and just looked amazing. You have no idea how different you look from how you looked last July when we first met.
And one thing that ketones work really well on is excuse-itis. I start to feel better. I have ketones in me. The more they're in me, the more and better they work for me. I'm going to share that stuff. That hit me hard. Consider the ripple effect of not sharing, because I didn't want to be on this earth anymore. That day that I walked into that shop, I had no hope. And if he hadn't have said, hey, what do you know about ketones and ketosis? The line that we've been using, the line that works since day one, I honestly don't know where I would be today. So don't make the decision for other people that they don't want it because you're worried about their reaction or their answer to you. If you lead from the heart, you're not attached to their outcome. You want them to be better, but you're not attached to if they do or when they do. But like Diane says, people will watch you, they will not comment, and one day, could be months, weeks, years, you will get a private message, okay, I'm ready, and you will be blown away at the impact and what they have to tell you, that they've been watching you and their life has been changed because of a quote you put up, a message that comes across, and now a magical drink they can get down their esophagus. When people say no, they don't say no to you. They don't say no to ketones. They say no to themselves. They say no to better. And everybody's divine timing is absolutely different. Lead from the heart. They'll feel it. And they're always going to be watching you guys.
I've discovered something through Dov that I am not prepared to give up on. That every time a special comes up, I'm ordering it. Dov, you've probably got home, you've got 7 cases of ketones for me with your next door neighbours. I just had to share how I saw you differently from a year ago to now. A totally different person.
So even if people are like really kind of intuitively against it for some reason, it's basically because they don't know what it is. And I've also experienced just going around and seeing the pain that people are in these days. And, as a psychotherapist and as a counselor and somebody that, helps people that are in pain, you can't always help everybody that you meet in the street, right? That's not possible. But with having something in my hand, which I can just turn around and say, you know what? I really don't know. This is the honest truth. I don't know if this can help you, but if I were you, I would try it.
we're not responsible for the yeses and the nos. We're responsible for the sharing of our story. So that's where I'm at. I feel like there's been a different shift of energy for me. It's been through working, diligently with many of you. And so I really wanted that to sink into yourselves of think about the ripple effect of you not sharing. And I really hope that that can help to drive that conversation maybe a little bit more fierce. So that's me for today. Super excited to be here. And I'm just so happy to have Dov back. We've missed you. It felt weird without you. I don't remember life without you, Dov. So let's just keep going.
What's the harm in just trying this? I can tell you what happened to me. I was very skeptical. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought it was something that I might want, and I kind of was just about to refuse it to myself. And we're talking only 20 weeks ago that I was refusing something because I didn't know what it was. And a price tag that kind of went with it, or I thought that went with it, turned me off. And the idea that it might actually do what it says turned me off. Now, when I think about it now, that's kind of a bit crazy, really, that Sheila and Diane told me, look, this is what it does. And I'm like, well, no, I don't believe you. I'm going to just leave it there. Thank you very much. I mean, come on. And so what happened next, I think, is what Ketone Kafe is all about and what the whole community behind this is all about. And that's what happened next. And what happened next was that basically Diane said to me, look, don't miss out on this. Try, what's the worst that can happen? And I was thinking, well, the worst that can happen is I'm going to lose, a little bit of money here. That's what I was thinking, to tell you the honest truth. And Diane said, look, don't even worry about that. I'm going to send them to you. And I thought, well, that's a bit weird. Nobody tries to sell you something and actually pays money for you to try it out. So I thought, well, okay, I'm not going to lose anything now, am I? And realized very quickly after that what I nearly missed. And that I realized now there's two things in my hands that are extremely powerful. One is what I'd just been taught by Sheila and Diane, which was something that I'd known, but now I saw it right up against my face, was the power of support, the power of community, the power of somebody really caring about you, one side, and a product that actually did for me what I wanted it to do, which was really weird for a skeptic, really weird for a person who checks their blood every 5 minutes just to make sure that what's in the packet is really what it's saying. I mean, like, I'm that crazy that I go out and bought more medical equipment than the sachets cost. You got to understand here that that's how crazy I was, right? I wasn't going to buy the sachet for a few quid, but I went out and bought hundreds of pounds worth of medical equipment just to make sure that what was in the sachet was true. But that's what I did, and I found out that it worked, and it did it. And the rest is history, as they say. Go back and look at a few Ketone Cafes and you'll see what happened to me. But that is why I go out now and say to people, and some of the people are on here tonight, look, I don't care if you buy it or not. I don't care if you use it or not. That's your problem, not mine. My obligation is to say, look, try this out. That's my obligation. My obligation is to put it on the table and say, this is what I'm talking about. This is the background to it. I've got no idea what it's going to do for you, but I've shared it with around 20 odd people. And if you take the indirect community, we're getting close to, 40, 50 people now in the big community here. And I've not come across somebody that's really turned around and said, you know what? Zero is happening. I've not come across that yet. And so perseverance is the thing. It doesn't always happen in the first 5 minutes, and it might not even happen in the first 2 months, as Michael is here. And Michael was going, well, I'm not sure it's working yet. I'm not sure it's working yet. And then after 2.5 months, it was like, oh, something seems to be, and look at him now, So it's wonderful to have all you people and see you again and again, and kind of going through this journey together. You're with me, I'm with you, we're all with each other, and I think that's what it's about. And it doesn't matter, it's not a magic pill, it's not a magic bullet, it's something that's giving nourishment to our brains and bodies, and it's really up to us to take responsibility what we do with that nourishment. Right, we've got the nourishment, we've got our brains and bodies fed properly, energized properly, but if you're just going to go to bed and go to sleep, then yeah, nothing's going to happen, you're right. But if you're going to move your body, if you're going to, read a book, you're going to use that focus, you're going to use that concentration, or you're going to, go out and talk to people or socialize or use whatever you've just gained by taking this stuff, then your life can really take off, I believe. That's my 2 bits. Yeah.
So just in listening, a couple of things there and about leading from the heart that Sheila referenced, and Diane always says, right, over and over again, just lead from your heart. I somehow still got, this level of skepticism that Dov's describing is not uncommon, and particularly with women. A lot of the women that I'm friends with, we've tried stuff forever. And what seemingly is easier for the man is often really harder for the woman, especially the older you get. This year, but I'm like, really? Before ketones, really? What's happening to my body? Oh, can you still hear me? Because my internet's unstable. Okay. So I somehow allowed the skepticism to limit me. And yesterday I had an experience. My friend tried a 10-day, and then she was hemming and hawing, and she tried a second 10-day from me. And about 5 days into that, because we never know when it's going to hit people. Sometimes it's the first sachet, sometimes it's the first sip. Sometimes, depending on where we are and what's been happening, it takes a little bit longer, right? And that, I think, is the wild card in the whole thing. When people are looking for promises and expectations, and you're like, have faith, this thing that you're talking about, have faith. And the thing that Diane and Sheila offered for you, Dov, was faith. We've got you. Hang on, we have belief in this enough to hold you so you can get there. So because that's 15 days in, all of a sudden my friend goes, oh my God, I didn't want the salt. Like, she's up at the cottage this week, and her friend drank a bottle, and she said normally I'd be neck to neck with her, and I just didn't want it. And I said, wow, that's great. She said, great, it's incredible. I want to be the guy that just has the 1 glass of wine, but I'm the guy that has the bottle. And then I want the salty foods and the sweet foods. So because of that, she told a friend, and the friend called me, and we signed her up last night. And I went into that thing. Oh my God, the price. Oh my God, that you do. Or maybe not everybody does, but I do. Because it was a process for me to begin to understand you can receive free product and to have faith. It's been a process. And at the end of this call, she said, thank you so much. And I listened, and I realized she was crying. And I said, hey, this has happened so quickly. I just wanted to back up and find out if better could find you, where would it be? And she broke down sobbing and said, with COVID and being at home with her kids, sorry, now I'm getting emotional just remembering her voice. She had put on a bunch of weight, and she had seen a naturopath and had bought a lot of supplements, and nothing happened. So she said, I've given up that there's any products, and I'm sitting in sweatpants. My marriage is suffering. I won't go out. I'm so repulsed by myself. And she said, please, please, please don't tell me that this won't work. And I just, flipped from the skeptic, whatever, into my heart and said, oh my gosh, hang on, it will work. We just need a little bit of time, a little bit of faith. And I had that feeling that you're describing, Dov, when Diane and Sheila had hope and faith for you that you couldn't get yourself yet. I had it for this woman. and I felt my heart reach out to her and hold hers. And when I got off the phone, I thought, this is what Diane's talking about. This makes it worth all of the people that stand in front of you and say, no, I don't have the time, I don't want to, whoever they are. And I think that thing is absolutely priceless. And that's what I wanted to share from my heart.
Because it's not our responsibility to make things work for other people. This is not a diet product. It's not about losing weight. It's not about anything. It's just about having a higher quality life, because somebody somewhere, some scientist, some wonderful scientist, and it doesn't matter at the moment where or what it was, discovered that you can, ferment ketones that your body naturally produces outside the body, and we're just consuming them. And then whatever happens is what each and every individual body does with that. Our responsibility is to say, look, I know that, but this is a skeptical world we live in. This is a very, very tough world we live in. It's not simple anymore. It's very complex. Yeah. And I'm part of it. So I know, and I know from the people that I deal with, how many people are scared, how many people are worried that they're being conned, that somebody's out to get them, that there's this fake news thing. Well, who do we believe? Who don't we believe? There's all this kind of insincerity out there, and it makes for a very horrible way to live. There's very little trust left. And I think that is a horrible way to live. And that's why what I think is wonderful, just in this group that we're in now, and this is for, I'm talking personally, I think is wonderful, is that I know everybody in this group. I know somebody that knows somebody else in this group. This is no strangers here. So when somebody shares something, I know that they're not trying to con me, because there are people that I know. There are people that I know that I know. So we're all kind of, basically connected here. So that gives me that trust to say, oh, you know what? It's not just me that it's happening to. My uncle's here, and he's gone through horrific things in the last 4 years. But look at him. He looks like a film star, and he's walking tens of kilometers every day. And, he said it on here, so I can say it, somebody who's had cancer and somebody who's had open heart surgery and now is looking at, $1 million, as they say, and is just, buzzing. I know that he's telling the truth, right? He doesn't have to tell me lies. And his friend Michael, and I know Avril, and Diane knows Sheila, and, Cindy knows Irene. So we're all trusting each other. We all know each other here. And I think that is the most wonderful thing about this. And so when I go out and I say to somebody, what do you know about ketones and ketosis? And very few people do at the moment. Very, very few people do. We need to understand this. They might have heard of keto diets and all this kind of stuff, but very few people do. And you don't have to be a scientist. You just have to ask that question and say, look, okay, so I'm also not an expert, but I can give you some expert. I can show you some expert. I can show you some science. I can show you some of this, and do your own investigations. But in the meantime, why don't you just have a drink and see what happens, right? And I think that's wonderful, Tracy. I really appreciate that. And I think that is what's really important here. It's just, no one's selling you anything. Just try it for yourself. It'll be basically, at the end of the day, it's vegan, it's natural, it's kosher, it's, there's very, very little. It's fermented. It's not even synthesized. People are saying, was this a synthesized thing? No, not synthesized. It's fermented. It's a natural process. So we're talking about something that is very, very safe at the end of the day. What have you got to lose about, having a drink? And then seeing what those ketones, what these ketone bodies, little bombs of energy do once they hit your personal system. And as Pruvit calls it and Norman calls it, we're talking about a change, an upgrade in an operating system. So basically when we're, absorbing these ketones, who knows what it's going to do for you? Who knows? We don't know. That's your body.
Rachel, are you there?
Yes, hi everyone.
Hi.
I kind of don't know whether some of it, obviously with COVID, I was off work for 6 months and I've now been back coming up 4 weeks. So obviously been extremely busy, a lot of sort of stress managing things. I work with children and I think that I can see myself now, sorry. And I think that you know, there's been a lot going on in my personal life and in my work life. So I don't know whether some of me not noticing anything is just because I've been so extremely busy. You know, but I am taking them, I'm having 2 a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. Started to drink it slower because when I spoke to Cindy, when I was first drinking it, I was kind of almost shotting it down, I suppose, almost taking it like medicine. Whereas now I am, you know, taking my time with it and enjoying. So yeah, just, you know, I'm still going, and like I've just said, you know, what harm is there to have this drink and to see what's what? There's absolutely no harm. I've got them in, you know, trying different things, and that's kind of it at the minute.
So there are times where people will say, I'm not feeling anything. And I'll say, okay, I have a couple of questions for you. A couple of easy questions. Like, do you notice that maybe there are times, and I don't know your schedule, I don't know your meal plan, I don't know your cravings. So maybe this won't be relevant, but I want to start with what seems to be relevant. Because a lot of times I'll say, do you find that you're not going and snacking or looking for that energy throughout the day? Are you finding that maybe that's not happening? So that could be one thing. The other thing I also say too is that, do you find that your thought process of all of the things that you have to get done are a little bit more compartmentalized rather than like these, you know, crazy worms and crazy snakes in your head, right? So sometimes people are like, wow, you know, you're right. If I come to think of it, like if I come to take a look more deeply in, those things can start to happen. But if the product is really going to inflammation that you never even knew you had, or organ, you know, I'm not saying ketones cures anything, but they do some stuff, right? Maybe your sleep is a little bit more sound, or maybe you're waking up at 6 a.m., which you know, not, and many of us love to wake up at 6. Are you noticing that your waking up is a little bit easier? Maybe you're not snoozing so many times, right? So those are things that I like to say, you know, if you really just peel it back a little bit, you may notice the intricacies that you're not noticing from the bigger picture, right? So those are things, you know, maybe if you think about that may be happening for you. So does that sound like anything familiar, or anything that you could maybe like step back out of your day and take a look and say, oh, you know what? Maybe this is more of an 8 out of 10 than a 5 out of 10.
I do think probably, again, you know, I think starting the ketones at the same time as going back to work and everything, I think, and I do think that there's probably an element of that there. I think that, you know, I'm not as stressed as perhaps I would have been. I mean, yeah, the first week was hectic, but I am sort of calm and organised and quite thorough with what we're doing and everything. So yeah, it's probably not as panicked as maybe I would have been before. The waking up feeling refreshed doesn't happen at all. I was hoping for that one first. No, it's still snooze. But I am, you know, in fairness, I'm up and I'm out and I'm sorted. So, you know, and I'm trying to make myself as well do more. I'm trying to get back into my I used to run and haven't really for the last sort of year. So I'm trying to do that. You know, my daughter's been kind of dropping me off at work, and a couple of times a week I've been running home. So it's only 2.5k, but it's that start, isn't it? So I think alongside the ketones, I've been trying to kind of change the fact that I need to be that little bit more active again and make those steps forward, because I did feel better when I was running more and eating better. I think again, eating habits have sort of changed again slightly from lockdown, but then it's because my day is split. So I start at, I'm in work for 7, finish at 9, and then back in work at 2:30 until 5:30. So, and obviously I'm busy with the day with the plannings and different things like that. But obviously that's it's hard when you do a split day, because by the time you've come home and you've had some breakfast, you're not ready for lunch before you're going, but actually you need to have something before you're going to work as well. So it's a bit, I suppose it's getting back into the different routine again, and just making time for me as well as making time for work and everything else. So
yep. And then I have a last just practical question. And then again, would love to just stay connected with you as you're starting to build your story. I want to make sure that we're all here for the highest level of support possible for anyone. But the practical question I have would be, when you're drinking ketones, are you drinking them as a primary fuel source before any food, or are you eating them with or after food? That's a practical question.
After, so I make one up in the morning, sort of as I'm having breakfast, and then drink it sort of over the course of half an hour to, well, maybe sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on what I'm doing. Okay. So probably, like I've not had an evening one now, which I would have been almost ready for evening meal, and then I'd probably make it up now. So, which obviously Cindy said try it earlier in the afternoon, which I think would make more sense.
Right. So a practical tip for you, if it's possible with your schedule, because again, people know their schedule, where you could fit in, where you need to fit ketones in. But one of the things that I'm just feeling prompted would be, if you can have your ketones as your first ingestion, and then have your breakfast when you're ready. If you could do it, if you could bring your breakfast. People think they need breakfast, and I'm not telling people to not eat breakfast, but if you were to have I drink coffee in the morning. I have a coffee, I do high fat in my coffee, then I do ketones, and then I eat when I'm hungry. The ketones are my primary superior fuel. They function better in the body scientifically as a primary fuel rather than a dual fuel. There's nothing wrong with having food. Some people feel sick with having ketones on an empty stomach. So they'll have it during their meal or shortly after. But if you can move your ketones to before your two meals, and I would like to see, maybe connecting with you after about 3 days and seeing if you're like, wait a second.
Yeah, that would definitely fit, because I can take it in with me and, be drinking as I go in. Yeah, definitely.
That's just my I think that could a world of difference. So I appreciate it. I think it's really great, and make sure that you're staying connected with us. And because the other things are the hydration, extra hydration, electrolytes are going to also help with the mineral. I didn't say dog food. I said hydration. The dogs are like, Mama. So I'm excited to stay connected with you and see how that looks. So let's just do a little tweak for you.
I've been doing it for 104 days today. And I think I was very fortunate, because I got into a routine, and it works for me. To go back to a point that Dov made in ketone number 8 or something, he says, you don't see your hair growing. The thing that I want to bring to mind is a poem by Robert Burns, the Scot. He said, I'll paraphrase, he said, if we had the power to see ourselves as others see us. So, we don't see what's happening to us. We can only experience what's happening to us. And what I found, and it really works for me, and it works for my wife, is to do what Diane was suggesting. Break your fast with ketones. I'm on medication, unfortunately, but it's old people medication, and I take it. So I take that first thing in the morning. I take it with a coffee, and I let an hour pass for my medication to work, and then I take my ketones. Now I take my ketones, but I couple it with activity, and that's one of the huge benefits, because I've had people talk to me in the third party to their friends, saying, you should see Norman's face, you should see his skin. It's rather remarkable how effective this is. But I'm a total believer that you take it before you eat, and you take it before you exercise, and then you exercise, and then you eat. It's an incredible relationship that you're on the verge of having, and that relationship is the business of yourself. And for the first time in your life, you can actually use a tool that will help you achieve better. And it's an interesting concept, because in the beginning I thought it was a bit, hippy dippy. but better is the only thing you need. So my new thinking is that we should live in the present, and we should be able to look only backwards to yesterday to say, can today be better than it was yesterday? 1%. And will tomorrow be 1% better tomorrow? And that's it. And don't go much further than that, because life doesn't happen in weeks and months. It happens in seconds and minutes. As far as the price of admission, drinking the water every day without the ketones is worth the price of admission, just to get into the habit of doing that. So just do it, enjoy it, and you'll be amazed. You just look at the things you're not doing at the end of a month and say, I didn't have that Diet Coke, I didn't have that juice, I didn't have this, I didn't have all these other things that haunt us, and the cravings you don't have. But I think it's wonderful that you're doing it, and I wish you the best of luck, and you should have a remarkable success like a lot of these people here. And Diane and Sheila, I mean, we don't want, and the compliments I get from my nephew, please, you kidding me? It's all good. Be well.
All good. A paradigm shift on the power of now and the power of just, getting on with your life and what you're not doing. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
So 4 things I just want to mention, different things. First of all, we talked about skeptical attitudes to the products at the beginning. And I think it's because there's an often recited mantra, certainly in England, that if something sounds too good to be true, it normally is. So people are naturally skeptical. I mean, I certainly was. And I think Dov was at the beginning, weren't you?
Absolutely.
And it's cultural. It's like almost a cultural thing. That
it is, definitely. Certainly the world we live in.
Yeah. The other thing was that I've been having, I don't know if it's side effects, I've certainly been having a few digestive issues when I've been having, and I've had to lay off for a few days. And I don't know if it's directly related to that or not, because I have a long-standing IBS condition and other things. So, but Dov suggested I might be drinking too quickly. You said, let's spread it out over the hour.
Yeah, sometimes if we down it too quickly, that will, well, first of all, we might be wasting our ketones because we might just kind of, excuse my French, pee it out quicker. But also it can affect a little bit of our tummy. It's not going to do you much damage, but it's going to waste it and you're going to feel a little bit sickly sometimes. So, yeah, as Diane says, 20 over 20 or, do it between 30 minutes and an hour is also good. See how your own digestive system, if you've got a little bit of IBS as well, just slow it down a little bit, maybe even take a little bit less and spread it out a little bit more. So half a packet here and a half a packet a little bit later on. Diane knows a lot about those kind of autoimmune or digestive issues. So I would even suggest having a one-to-one with Diane, just to go over your personal status, and we want to support you as much as possible and what can help you personally.
Yeah. It's also slightly shivery, very, very now and again, thinking, oh God, what's that? And then it always passes. No, it's not anything sinister like COVID, but it's like...
Okay, so that's what we want to hear. We want to hear how we can support you, want to hear how we can individually tailor this for you. And we can set up between Sheila, Diane, myself, whoever we need to get you what you need to get. And that's the most important thing. And that's what Ketone Cafe is all about. And thank you very much for bringing that up, Avril, because that kind of shows us that we're not just about sharing happy stories here. That's not what this is all about. This is about sharing our experiences and sharing our concerns and sharing our issues so that we can all help each other. That's what it's all about. So thank you, Rachel, for bringing up, it takes courage to come on and speak, especially when you don't have a fantastic hunky-dory story to tell, to come on and say, things have taken a little bit longer for me. That takes courage, and I appreciate that. And Avril to come on and say, a little bit about our upset stomach or our skepticism. That is authenticity, and that's what this Ketone Cafe is about. It's about being authentic. It's about helping each other. Yep, and it's about being here for one another, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And
I read endogenous ketones the same as esters, because you read in the literature about salts and esters. And I just wondered if it was the same thing. If you look, do you know what I mean?
We could send you esters versus salts. Esters are not like a mass marketed, they're super duper expensive. So the esters are something that's not available to the masses unless you want to pay upwards of $1,000 for a sachet. But I would like to, and again, just to reiterate what Dob was saying, it is so important for people to be able to come on here and share, just to share and say, hey, I'm having this, is there any insight? Because what happens is, when we start to have 50, 100, 150, 1,000 people, let's, be abundant here, on these Zooms with the Ketone Cafe, you could be asking the question just like, Rachel and just like Avril, and then someone is able to say, 3 weeks in, if they have a friend on ketones, hey, you know what? I heard that with Avril. Oh my God, and I realized why. I know why. And I'll send a link to explain the details. So it is important for us to be having that conversation where we are truly here to serve, right? Not just for the airy-fairy, fabulous, stories, but to be able to say, where can we help you today, right? Because it's only going to help you, and it's going to be a ripple effect of others. So I wanted to just say thank you, and I want everyone to understand that is what this Ketone Cafe is for. So thank you for sharing it. Thank you for opening that platform as well.
Just before we go, we're a little bit over time, and I apologize for that. We try to stick as closely to 45 minutes as we can. But just before we go, since this is our new Ketone Cafe link, this will be an unlimited link, hopefully, as we go forward. Invite. Let's get people on here. Let's tell them about this. You don't have to be drinking ketones to come to the Ketone Cafe. If you just want to just invite them along and say, look, there's something going on here, not quite even sure what it is, but come along and ask your questions and see what people are talking about. Maybe you want to be part of something that might make your life, and I'm just saying might, I'm not promising anything, might just make your life a little bit better. Having said that, Ketone Cafe number 18, thank you very, very, very much, all of you, for coming in. Wonderful.
And don't forget that we do Ketone Cafe at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on purpose, because in 2 minutes, live on our corporate Facebook page is the Ask the Doctor. We will have Dr. Andy or Dr. Heather going live on the Facebook Prove It page. So if anyone doesn't know how to catch that link, private message us. We'll send you the link directly. Make sure you like the Prove It page. Make sure you turn notifications on. My phone pops up and says, Dr. Andy is live. I click the link, and here I am, ready to get even more insight. 5 years later, I have my notepad. I think it's really important that we do stories at the Ketone Cafe, stories and support, and then we end it with the science with the doctors. So again, thank you to everyone for joining. And again, as well, who deserves to be at the Ketone Cafe number 19? Cannot wait to meet them next week.
Absolutely. If you've got a question that you want to ask live to the doctor, you can go on and actually do that, and she'll answer your questions live as you ask them. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks. Have a good week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much. Bye.